Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Hey, folks, today is Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We still have no Speaker of the House because Republicans, they have lost their damn minds. They cannot make a decision on Kevin McCarthy. So we are still voting and voting and voting. We'll be talking with Congressman Troy Carter of New Orleans about the sheer lunacy of Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives. Some breaking news, folks, out of Connecticut. Quentin Williams, a state rep, folks, was just sworn in yesterday in the State House, dies in a car accident last night. We'll give you those particular, car accident today, we'll give you those details. President Joe Biden addressed the issue of immigrants. They're going to expand Title 42 to now include immigrants from illegal immigrants from other countries, including Haiti. We'll tell you about that issue as well. Also, police killed, listen to this, folks, 2 years after the death of George Floyd. Police killed more people in 2023 than they ever have before. We'll talk to Samuel Sinyangwe, who follows this, who tracks this, and break down exactly how sad this is. Also, folks, losing belly fat, all green smoothies. How do you do a new you if you don't necessarily want to try some other ways? Well, J.J. Smith, of course, had the New York Times best-selling book on green smoothie. She has her 30-day belly challenge. She will join us today as we continue our focus on a new you in 2023. Lots to talk about, lots to break down. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Streaming live on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Lord, y'all, Republicans, they do not know what to do. They continue to ignore Kevin McCarthy, will not name him as Speaker. This is the result of the 10th vote. We are now in day 2, the 10th vote. You see, McCarthy got 200 votes. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, got 212. Democrats are holding fast and solid. Republican Byron Donalds, a black Republican, got 13 votes. Then you see another Republican got 7 votes, Hearn, and then one person voted present. And so no new House sworn in as of yet because there is no Speaker. McCarthy made some major concessions last night. That still didn't satisfy the Freedom Caucus. I keep saying they're not that into you, Kevin. And so we are sitting here at a standstill in the U.S. House. It shows you how grossly dysfunctional these Republicans are. Joining us right now from New Orleans, first was a congressman from New Orleans. He's there in the nation's capital, Congressman Troy Carter. Congressman, glad to have you. I mean, this really is, it's laughable, but it's also shameful. And it shows the Republican Party, these House members, they are not prepared to govern. They can't even figure out a leader.
Well, Roland, thank you very much. As always, thank you for allowing us to have this platform to talk about real-time issues. And listen, it's very basic. You can't govern if you can't win. And that's what we're dealing with right now, a Republican Party that is unable to secure the votes to pick a leader. The people of America expect us to be working on the issues that are important to the American people, not having infighting within a party. The Democratic Party has been unified. We're solidly behind Hakeem Jeffries. The magic number is 218. We don't have 218. They do, but they can't seem to get to that number, which sends a signal to the rest of the country. If you can't get your own members inside your conference to follow you, how do you get the American people to? It's time to move on. It's time to govern. It's time to get to the issues that are important to the people. We've gone through 10 rounds of votes. 10 rounds of votes, and successively, each time we go, Kevin McCarthy loses ground. There are new people that are introduced as possible speakers. But Kevin McCarthy's numbers are not increasing.
Well, and one of the things that people don't understand, you've got these new members of Congress, their families are here. They're waiting to get sworn in. They're not on the payroll. So the reality is we still are dealing with the previous Congress. So the new members, the new House members have yet to actually be sworn in.
That is right, and none of us have. I mean, we are all actually right now representative elects, even those of us that were reelected. We haven't been officially sworn in. So we are still stuck in the procedural part of getting our house in order, if you will, and the Republicans are not helping us do that. They are unable to organize. They're unable to galvanize. They're unable to put the votes together. Although they have the requisite numbers to elect a speaker, they have not been able to come to a consensus. And every day, every minute, every second that goes by that we are not doing that, the American people are not being served. And that is a travesty. That is a disservice to Democrats and Republicans and others alike. All Americans should be incensed about this inability to get the job done, inability to govern and to move the ball forward to take care of those issues that are critically important to our governance. We have a war in Ukraine right now defending democracy that we've invested in greatly. We have crime on the streets of America. We have people who are hungry, people who are homeless. We have mental health issues. We have environmental issues. We have work to do. And every second that we continue to do the foolishness that we're doing now takes away from the attention that the American people sent us to Washington to do. And we've got to do better.
One of the things that, as we examine what's going on here, again, you hear some people out here who are saying, well, Democrats should step up. They should do the right thing and help Republicans out of this bind. Well, Democrats are steadfast. They're saying our votes are behind our guy, Hakeem Jeffries, at 212. What do you make of the people who suggest that Democrats should save Republicans from themselves?
Well, the better perhaps would be, why don't just 6 of Republicans come over to the 212 Democrats and we can get this thing fixed a lot easier. That would be an argument that we could easily flip back. So it's not as easy a suggestion that we would go and help the Republicans or Democrats help the Republicans or Republicans help the Democrats. It's about helping the American people. And listen, our votes are secure. Our numbers are not splintered. Our numbers are not divided. The Democrats are securely in place to support Hakeem Jeffries, the unanimous nominee of the Democratic Party. It's the Republican Party who can't seem to get their ducks in a row, to get their house in order. we can and are ready and have demonstrated for the last 2 years. The 117th Congress has had the kind of passage of bills, resources, $1.2 trillion for infrastructure, $1.7 trillion for a spending bill. Listen, we've been working. And when we were in charge and we were in lead, the American people saw progress. Now the Republicans are in charge and we aren't seeing progress. That is a perfect split screen to look at what happens when people are prepared to lead and when those are not. Democrats are prepared to lead and Republicans appear to be in a state of turmoil.
Kevin McCarthy last night made some concessions to the Freedom Caucus. Came out today, nothing changed. It's abundantly clear they don't like him. I don't know what you're hearing, but is there any point he is going to get the message and realize they're not backing down, so he's going to have to step aside like he did previously?
I would certainly hope so. You know, ransom has been requested. It appears that ransom has been met, but the hostage has still not been released. They've requested all of these concessions that it appear that Mr. McCarthy is acquiescing to. However, we still don't have a speaker. And at some point, and I suggest the point is now, if Mr. McCarthy does not have the votes, that he step aside and let someone who can get the votes come forward so we can move forward and take care of the people's business. This issue of hide the ball, continue to fight and go back and forth, having vote after vote after vote with zero change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This is insanity.
Now, give us a sense of, first of all, what's happening there on the floor. First of all, let's go live to the floor where they're actually reading the latest vote total.
The Honorable Kevin Hern of the state of Oklahoma has received 7, with 1 answering present. No member-elect having received a majority of the votes cast, a speaker has not been elected. For what purpose does the gentleman from Arkansas rise?
Madam Clerk, I rise tonight in the spirit of 1923 to address the House. Madam Clerk, to nominate Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House.
The gentleman is recognized.
First, let me express my deep appreciation, the appreciation of everybody in this room for the work you're doing, Madam
So Congressman Carter, it looks like we're now about to go to another round. They're putting McCarthy up again, so this is about to be Groundhog Day.
Yeah, here we are again. The next round is going. I'm going to have to get out there.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to come back after this vote and start again to kind of give you a debrief of what's going on the floor.
Okay.
But the same thing is happening. We continue to vote. Nothing changes. It's a game of groundhog. We keep looking for a shadow. There isn't. We don't know what's going to happen. We keep hoping that we can at least get to a business of taking care of the business of the American people. Yet we continue to have the selfishness of an individual who does not appear to have the votes. This will be our 11th vote. And how many times do we do the same thing? It was 100 years ago, we went through a series like this. I don't think the people of America have the energy, appetite, or resources to watch this foolishness unfold.
Yep.
Time to govern, time to move. I'll be happy to come back out and chat with you guys again.
All right. Congressman Carter, we still appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to go to a break. We come back, we're going to talk to our panel, our Thursday panel. I know Greg Carr, Reese Colbert, and Erica Savage got something to say about this nonsense happening on the floor of the U.S. House. Folks, download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, y'all. We should be at 1,000 likes, easy. Also, join us on the join our Bring the Fuck fan club. Check-in money orders, go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And get your copy of my book, White Fear, How the Drowning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. I'll be right back.
I love directing. It's a different kind of piece. I do believe that the 30 years I was acting was to prepare me for what I'm supposed to be doing and that what I really am good at.
But when you were acting, were you even thinking about directing?
Nope.
Were you, so what the hell happened?
If you had asked me 15 years ago, I probably would have said, no, I don't know. I was doing Ava DuVernay's first film, I Will Follow. Mm-hmm. And during that process, I think because it was her first film, maybe
She's self-taught?
Absolutely. I probably gave too many suggestions. And at some point, Ava said to me, I think you're a director and you don't know it.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Carl Payne pretended to be Roland Martin. Holla! You are watching Roland Martin, and I'm on his show today, and it's, what, huh? You should have some cue cards.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
All right, folks, let's talk this House dysfunction with our regular Thursday panel. Dr. Greg Carr, Department of African American Studies at Howard University, Reese Colbert, founder of Black Women Views, Erica Savage, the Reframed Brain. Glad to have all three of y'all here. Greg, I'll start with you. This is a history thing. First of all, been 100 years since they did not choose the Speaker of the House on the first ballot. We showed this tweet a couple of days ago. Michael Beckschloss talked about how in 1855 there were 133 votes before a speaker is chosen. So when I'm watching these shows and people are talking about, oh my God, we've never seen this. Yes, we've never seen this, but it's not like it hasn't happened. And so people need, I think it's amazing how people today who don't read history, who literally don't understand how we've had some moments in American history that have been buck wild crazy, where folks have fought on the floor of the House, weapons pulled. I mean, that's American history if people know how to read.
That's true. That's true. We just interviewed a guy, University of Penn law professor Kermit Roosevelt III, who's actually the great-great-grandson of Teddy Roosevelt. He wrote a book called The Nation That Never Was. And his argument is that we live in the United States under what he calls the Reconstruction Constitution, which is, of course, no surprise to black folk, as opposed to his founders' Constitution. And we've never seen anything. In 1923, black people were fighting to vote, including black women, 19th Amendment notwithstanding. In 1855 and 56, that was the battle that formed the Republican Party. When you saw the Massachusetts congressman who was elected to the speakership there in 1856, he was out of something called the Know Nothing Party, the Massachusetts Know Nothing Party. They were anti-slavery. They put together a fragile coalition and basically held Congress hostage until they could push through some politicians who could fight back against the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, which of course expanded slavery into the territories. That whole fight was over slavery. And of course, we didn't have anybody in the chamber, just like 1924. So we've never seen anything. By the way, shout out to whoever that was a minute ago as you were talking to Congressman Clark, who shouted Cheryl Johnson for Speaker. Howard University grad, by the way, clerk of the House, and you don't have to be a congressperson to be Speaker. So whoever shouted that a minute ago, when she got one of the longest ovations of this whole mess by both sides for doing the job she's doing, she and the sisters who are counting votes, may not be such a bad idea. But this battle really, it was inevitable in some ways. I mean, think about it, and you've been talking about this, Roland. What we're seeing is this battle isn't over 1923 or 1856. No, this is a battle over what has been happening since the human rights movement we call the Civil Rights Movement. Remember, the Republicans have basically crucified every speaker they've had. After the Reagan era, you look at Dennis Hassard, you certainly see what happened to crying John Boehner, which led to Paul Ryan. That was the first time they cut Kevin McCarthy's throat. This was in some ways inevitable because the white nationalist core of the white nationalist party is intransigent. They are anti-government. They're anti-federal government. They want to destroy the federal government and then rule over what's left from the states. This is their strategy as a pushback from the Civil Rights Movement. So this really isn't chaos. They aren't insurgents. They are true to their core. And let's be clear about this. Byron Donalds is on their side. I'm glad you interviewed him last year, about a year and a half ago. And then they jumped on Cori Bush for saying they were using him as a stooge. Well, we've seen a lot of diversity. In that 10th ballot, when Arizona's Juan Cristomani got up with his whole family there, telling his immigrant story had nothing to do with this. And then, of course, Peter Aguilar got up on the Democratic side and praised him for having this story, and his own children clapped because they can't tell what's going on. It's showing us the limits of diversity. This is costume politics. Finally, I loved when Catherine Clark got up at the beginning of the 8th ballot, who, of course, is second in charge in the Democratic Party, and she did those 8 2-1-2s. Because Hakeem Jeffries has gotten 202 at that point, had gotten it 8 times in a row, soon to be 9th and then 10th. But then she did the litany of what these people have voted against, which includes Kevin McCarthy, whether it be vaccines, whether it be $34 a month insulin, whether it be lowered health care premiums, whether it be defending LGBTQ rights or voting rights, whether it be the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which Donald's voted against, whether it be manufacturing bills, clean energy, equal pay for women, family leave, all these things they voted against. And so there's no disagreement in the white nationalist party about their policy agenda. All they have is the disagreement over Kevin McCarthy being the one to lead it, because as you said yesterday, Steve Scalise would be just as bad.
You know, it's interesting, Reese, when I think about how a lot of these mainstream media folks just acted a fool when the squad held their votes on an issue on the Democratic side. That ain't nothing compared to this. So that's one. But here's the other thing, and I've heard a lot of African Americans talk about this here. This also is an example, to be perfectly honest. When you look at the Congressional Black Caucus, once they're sworn in, there are 57 members. You know, when Democrats were in control, they literally could have done the same thing and said, ain't nothing moving unless we get this. We know the Freedom Caucus folks are crazy. We know that. But this is what you do when there are slim majorities and you know you have the numbers. You can stop stuff from happening if you're willing to stay unified to do it.
Yeah, but the Democrats don't disagree. I mean, all of the priorities for the CBC passed in the House. So in fact, actually, hold tight 1 second. I want to go to the Florida House to see one of the CBC members speaking. Go ahead, go.
Overturn an election. And the country, yet again, did what it has done before. It looked to House Democrats to lead and to govern. And that is exactly what we did when we certified the election and we safeguarded the transfer of power. So here we find ourselves again in unprecedented times, in the early days of the 118th Congress. First time in over 100 years in which the House of Representatives is unable to organize because the House Republican Conference cannot select a speaker. It's a sad day for this institution, but the country will do what it has done before. It will look to House Democrats to govern and to lead, and under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries, that is exactly what we will do. Now, you have heard from so many over the course of the last 3 days about the wisdom, the leadership, and the talents of this extraordinary leader from Brooklyn. But let me tell you why I believe that he is the person for this moment. Centuries ago, our nation's second president, John Adams, laid bare his fear that members of this body would gain influence by, quote, meanness, not greatness, by noise and not sense, by ignorance and not learning. Hakeem Jeffries' leadership is rooted in greatness and not meanness. It is rooted in learning and not ignorance. His approach is rooted in common sense and not the empty and jaded cynicism and noise that we see so often in our political sphere. He is a leader for our times, which is why I believe he is the leader for this time. The bottom line, my colleagues, is this. It is 6:30 p.m. here in Washington, D.C. The House of Representatives, this sacred institution, needs a leader. It needs a speaker. It needs a leader who will inspire us. A leader who knows that our best days are yet ahead. A leader committed to our communities and our Constitution and our country. And I am here to tell you that leader is Hakeem Jeffries of the great state of New York.
We're going to go to a break. Reese, I want you to finish your point when we come back from the break. That was the congressman, of course, from Colorado, going into his second term. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment right here at Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The Supreme Court is back in session. God help us all. It is no exaggeration to say that this current session could completely reshape this country and redirect our future for generations to come. and not in a good way. We invite Dr. Valencia Watkins and Professor Angela Porter, our legal roundtable, back to the show to put it all in perspective. That's on the next Black Table. Please don't miss it. Right here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Bill Duke.
This is Diala Riddle, and you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered. Stay woke.
All right, folks, welcome back. Reese, you were speaking before we went to the floor of the House. Go ahead with your comments about this fiasco, this circus we keep seeing about Republicans.
Yeah, I was just, to your question, I was just saying that as far as the CBC is concerned, their priorities have passed consistently in the House. And so I don't think that this is so much a tactic that can be duplicated, because the House has no jurisdiction over the Senate. And in the Senate, the magic number is 10 to, or I should say, pulling over 10 Republicans and 2 basically Republicans onto their side. And they just don't have the numbers in the Senate. So this really, the real story here is just that Republicans are a bunch of miscreants who are unfit to govern and who are unserious. I mean, Donald J. Trump being nominated by, or being voted for by Matt Gaetz is ridiculous. The black guy, Brian Donalds, is dropping like flies in terms of his supporters. And now Kevin Hearn, who's completely unremarkable and for no discernible reason whatsoever other than him being a white guy named Kevin, not McCarthy, is picking up support away from their token black guys. So this is really just chaotic theater and ridiculousness from Republicans. But this is exactly what we could have told y'all was going to happen.
And look, I mean, you know what we're seeing here, Erica, this is a precursor to what is going to happen. No matter who they choose as speaker, you're going to see the same hard right, Freedom Caucus, pro-insurrectionist Republicans do the exact same thing. I mean, again, remember, John Boehner from Ohio was a hardcore conservative. They drove him into retirement.
Mm-hmm. And straight to weed, where he's making a whole lot of money and smoking real good. So let's be very clear about this. We have seen this playbook before. Most recent talking and thinking about Barack Obama. And so, of course, we know that Mitch McConnell's goal was to make him a one-term president. But we saw out of that whole revolution, so to speak, of the Republican Party, or their coming out party, so to speak. We then saw the Tea Party rise up, arguing for limited government. What they were really doing is setting the stage, and the stage has been prepared over the course of history. Let's be clear. We plainly understand that. But when we're talking about modern times, making sure that people have a clear understanding of who they believe should be running this country. And it has always been about global white supremacy. That is something we've talked about this show in length. And really, just to bring it even further up to speed, it would behoove any of us to say that in the past few months, we have not had 2 people on this show write books about this very same thing. 3 books for people to write, ringing the alarm bell about how dangerous Republicans are, and that their attraction, their desire for raw, naked power, and for everyone to be on bended knee as it relates to their governing style. They have done that over and over. They made sure that the census was obliterated back in 2010. They made sure that they took over overwhelming state houses in 2010. And so here we are seeing that the Supreme Court has now been made ultra-conservative. We see that they brought someone in that they said, their campaign said that their whole goal was to deconstruct the administrative state. So here we are with chaos agents, terrorists, if you will, doing what they do best. What I would say to people, that this is really the last stop for the democracy bus. And I know we've said this over and over again, but that's because the alarm bells have been going off for quite some time. I would say for people to make sure you put a notification, an alarm, and something on your calendar to be checking your registration, your voter registration every month, because these same chaos agents are the ones that don't want you voting. Mm-hmm. They don't want your vote to matter. They don't want for you to receive relief as it relates to economic relief. They don't want you if you to be vaccinated. They are chaos agents. And so to me, this is really a call to anyone's senses as we see the chaos continue to go on, to make sure that you are doing everything within your power, because these people have already said, even before they took power, that we are going to bring chaos in the form of making sure we want to bring up Hunter Biden again. They want to do political theater. They're not interested in your well-being. And I hope that this is the last bell that needs to be rung for people to understand that the power is in their hands, to make sure that they're engaged in their own local communities and making sure that they do have a voice when it comes to 2024.
Greg, I remember when I was on CNN, and this was when the Tea Party rose up. And I remember hardcore conservative Eric Erickson was applauding the Tea Party, saying, we hope those people go to Washington and then they don't let anything get done. And I remember then Bill Bennett, who's also hardcore conservative, he literally was like, that's stupid. He said, you're an idiot because you want to win to actually get stuff done. He's like, if you're gonna go there and say no to everything, he said, what the hell is that? What's the point of having the power? The fact of the matter is, when you talk about the Freedom Caucus, these folks, they want to shut everything down. See, everybody keeps just solely talking about how they don't like Kevin McCarthy. But I want you to listen to actually what they're saying. Let's go live to the floor, because this is the nomination of someone other than McCarthy. I want you to listen.
Of our education system, K-12, college campuses, indoctrination of our kids. We're in crisis with the weakening of our military with these NDAA bills. We're in crisis with trampling on our most basic and essential freedoms over the last 2 years in ways we couldn't have imagined pre-2020. Whether we can assemble, whether we can worship, whether we can earn a living, whether we can travel, what we have to put on our face, what we have to take into our body, whether or not we have to disclose what we've taken in. Trampled in ways we couldn't have imagined just a few years ago. The greatest reflection of where the people in the country are is the House of Representatives. And the people spoke back on November 8th and gave the majority by some 3 or 4 million votes to the Republican Party. It's not the White House, it's not the Senate, it's the people's house that reflects where the American people are, and they've trusted us on this side of the aisle with the leadership of this House.
So Greg, if people pay attention, first of all, these folks, they hated the omnibus bill. These are the people, they hate earmarks. They obviously, you hear, they cannot stand the COVID vaccine. I keep telling folk, don't just call them crazy, pay attention, because they got elected. There were people who voted for them, for Boebert, for Green, and others. They sent the crazies there. These people are a danger, but you better listen to them, because they are holding power in their hands by holding up the entire House.
It's true, Roland. But like any fever, it reaches a pitch and then it breaks. This actually is very interesting. This could be very encouraging. I encourage the White Nationalist Party to take a jackhammer to itself. And you're absolutely right. They hate earmarks until they can claim credit for them. Shout out to Elise Stefancic, a real toady. Not a true believer like that veteran swimsuit model and Turning Point USA MAGA-lite Anna Paulina Luna, who was the last person to nominate Byron Douglas. But Elise Stefancic loves the earmarks, and they all do when they come to their districts. But what we're hearing from Bob Good there is very consistent. As you said, they are against everything. And as you say, when you evoke Bennett from a generation ago, when you evoke some of those GOP lawmakers sitting there in the chamber today who do have a policy agenda, then you're seeing the internal debate in the White Nationalist Party. The hardcore of it has been driven by Trumpism, but Trumpism is a symptom of a much larger malaise, as Erica just laid out, and as you've been talking about, and Reese as well. This is a fundamental battle over the nature of the polity we call the United States of America. They have never wanted anybody to rule it other than them. And if they can't rule it, they want it destroyed and dissolved. This is very clear. Tomorrow will be the second anniversary of when their friends, with the collusion of some of the very people in that chamber, stormed the United States Capitol and attempted a coup d'etat. They wouldn't even vote to impeach the president of the United States who helped foment the coup, or to prosecute, or to even award medals to the officers who defended their lives. This is a battle which ultimately may accrue to all of our benefit. Now, end with this. Hakeem Jeffries has been playing this pitch perfect. Sitting there watching him basically run for Speaker of the House in 2024, if not 2022, and maybe even President of the United States in 2028. What you see on the Democratic side, politics notwithstanding, is this mosaic of America that is also linked to policy.
Right. About 15 seconds. Actually, I want to do this here. Actually, just hold on. I'm going to go to the break, then we'll come back. We'll do one more segment on this because I need the folks watching to understand what is actually happening here. Because trust me, it is going to have an impact on us because it is about policy. And these folks, they're in power on the state level. So what you're seeing is not an abnormality. You're not seeing an aberration. You're actually seeing the modern day Republican Party. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button. We'll be right back.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, it's time to tie up those loose ends. Setting yourself up for balance, success, and even prosperity in the new year. Financial expert Pamela Sams joins our panel. She will give us a checklist of things that we need to do before the calendar turns.
We develop our money mindset by the age of 6. And so we have our sometimes 6-year-old self still operating in the background of our money scripts.
That's next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The Supreme Court is back in session. God help us all. It is no exaggeration to say that this current session could completely reshape this country and redirect our future for generations to come. And not in a good way. We invite Dr. Valethia Watkins and Professor Angela Porter, our legal roundtable, back to the show to put it all in perspective. That's on the next Black Table. Please don't miss it. Right here on the Black Star Network.
Y'all know who Roland Martin is. He got the ascot on, he do the news. It's fancy news.
Keep it rolling. Right here. Rolling.
Roland Martin.
Right now.
You are watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
So, Greg, when I was writing the book White Fear, first of all, when I've been talking about this for more than a decade, I was literally trying to walk folks through to get them to understand where we're going with our politics. And what you're seeing here you're seeing these Republicans wanting to eat one of their own. They don't care that Kevin McCarthy is a Republican. They believe he's sold out to lobbyists and others. You've literally seen that if you watch Fox News and you watch these conservative outlets. And so they know exactly what they are doing. There were some, I remember yesterday we were talking, and I can't remember which one of my panelists said, hey, the Republicans want this to go into prime time so the constituents of these people could see what they're doing and then put pressure on them. No, that's exactly what they want. I mean, the reason OANN exists in the Newsmax because they're farther right than Fox News. And so these folks, they have a very clear agenda, and it is one that is vertical, it is horizontal. It's the Fairless Society. You look at who the billionaire who just gave $1.5 billion to the Republican guy, the Leo guy, whose sole job is to put Republicans, conservatives, hardcore conservatives on the Supreme Court. You look at how they are funding the Supreme Court society as their way to infiltrate and get to those justices. When you look at the billions of dollars in the think tanks and how they're funding conservative media, I mean, they are working a plan because they see what is coming. They want to make sure the closer we get to 2043, and you got black folks, and you got Latinos and Asians, Native Americans, they want to be like, no. Y'all can have all the numbers, but we're going to be like South Africa. We still going to control the economic power, and we still going to be running the country. That's what we're watching.
Absolutely. There's so many moving parts. I mean, I'll go back to 1856 again just for a second to underscore the point you're making. The coalition that eventually elected a speaker after 133 ballots on 103 to 214 plurality, they suspended their regular rules, was a combination of free soilers who were against slavery, elements of the Know Nothing Party in the North that embraced anti-slavery because many of the Know Nothings who were staunch Catholics, anti-immigrants, were okay with slavery, and a patchwork of other people who coalesced, some of them ending up by the end of the decade, a little bit that year, in something called the Republican Party. It was a coalition that looks a lot closer to European-style democracies, where I don't agree with you on anything except this. So I'm going to come with you, and we're going to at least move the wheels of government. Fast forward to yesterday and the day before. We see Paul Gosar, who made a video killing AOC, sitting with her in the chamber. Now, allegedly, the conversation was around a rumor that had been floated that AOC and some others had said that, well, there are some things we agree on and perhaps we can do some coalition. She was telling him, oh, that's not the case. To your point, Reese, the Democrat Party is unified. Now, the squad is not the white nationalists. Why? Because, hell, I agree with a lot of Rashida Tlaib, and by the way, there is no Congress because Summer Lee, one of my former students, hadn't even been sworn in yet, and nobody has. The head of that chamber is Sister Johnson. But in the meantime, these folks who realize they want to end homelessness, they want to get benefits, they want sisters to have their rights preserved, and LGBTQ, they are not so dead set in their agenda that they're not going to make policy common cause with a party that said, if we can't get all of that now, we're going to at least hold together to move the ball forward. Now, that's not the same as the other party. The other party is about destroying the enterprise. So AOC shut that down real quick. On the other side, you got George Santos, if that is his name, increasingly comfortable. At the beginning of this thing earlier in the week, he's sitting there by himself, and there's a kid sitting next to him who looked like he was stinking too, wouldn't even talk to the guy. Now he's walking around patting backs, talking. Why? Because slime like Santos can be embraced in a party where that's the point, to your point. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is to underscore exactly what you said. What we're dealing with at this moment looks messy, looks tragic, looks problematic, but was inevitable and will ultimately, if we can just hold together, and I mean people who believe in our common humanity, might end up with the fever breaking in this country. Because what the Republican Party is doing right now is what they have been setting up to do for quite some time. The grandfather of this, of course, Newt Gingrich, sitting back. Did I do that? Yeah, you did that. Because Gingrich wants to govern. Bennett wanted to govern. McCarthy and them want to govern, But in order to do it, they sold their soul to white nationalists whose whole lives are based on white supremacy, white Christian nationalism, and they are saying to themselves, we don't even want a country if we can't run it. Well, guess what? The bill has come due. Let this thing fall. Do you understand? This is what we've been talking about, as Erica said, all along.
The thing here, Reese, again, for the folks who are watching, when I interviewed Congressman Horsford, and folks, pull that back up, y'all. I think he said, if we win 7,000 votes, we have the majority. He said 7,000 votes. And we got folk who, you got these crazy folk out here, I ain't even gonna waste my breath naming them, who run around and talk about, don't vote, we ain't getting this, we ain't getting that. And I always say, well, the stuff that y'all say y'all want, you damn sure can't get if you don't vote. And then who the hell's gonna give it to you? And so I would hope while people are watching this dysfunction, they're asking themselves, damn, what if these seats had flipped? What if a Democrat had actually opposed John James in that Michigan seat and actually won that? What if folks actually went harder against gerrymandering? You got the Wisconsin State Supreme Court coming up. Democrats have an opportunity to flip the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has already ruled, now granted, they could always come back, that they don't have any control over political gerrymandering. If you get Democrats controlling the state Supreme Court in Wisconsin, you can now bring that case back up and literally outlaw political gerrymandering in Wisconsin. That could flip that state, and you can pick up anywhere two or three seats. The pressure is being put on the governor of New York right now not to appoint a conservative to the New York Supreme Court after their previous ruling. Then, of course, you got the governor of Pennsylvania. Again, what did he just do? After he had the whole fight there, he just appointed a Republican as Secretary of State because he defended the state against voter fraud charges. You ain't never seen no Republican nominate no Democrat out of this bipartisanship. At some point, Democrats are going to have to learn how to play for keeps and stop trying to make other folk happy.
Yeah, I mean, look, tribalism is alive and well in the Republican Party. And so Democrats, what are you trying to prove with this whole called faux bipartisanship? You cannot negotiate with terrorists. And the Republicans are diametrically opposed to what Democrats want. Like even this whole notion that, well, Democrats should compromise to get some sort of coalition government. There's no coalition government with 10 Democrats crossing over to help the Republicans who can't even get their shit together. What we're going to have is Republicans republicaning, okay? This is their intention. Steve Bannon has laid it out. Trump tried to execute this when he was president, deconstructing the federal administrative state. So there's no negotiating with it. Democrats need to learn how to stand in their power, like they're doing to their credit, by staying united behind Hakeem Jeffries. They are, for once, I should say, holding it completely together and showing in a show of force. But the reality is that Republicans play for keeps every time. What is happening right here is intentional chaos by the Republicans. And it does have an impact on people. Like, for instance, if you are one of those people who procrastinate and you didn't get your passport and you got 3 days to get your passport, your congressman ain't going to be able to help you with this situation, okay? Because the Congress people are not in a position to help their constituents with casework. So this does have actual real consequences for people. But the last thing I'll say is, I don't know if you noticed this yet, Roland, but the black guy done fell out of the nomination. Byron Donald. They said, okay, we started off today with John James invoking slavery, every other word. We done brought up Jim Crow, slavery, segregation, to talk about how great for the blacks Kevin McCarthy is. And then we got somebody else to pull out the black dude who had the weed charge expunged, who had the bribery charge expunged, to be their little token, and they stuck with him for a little bit of time. But now Byron Donalds is gone with the wind.
Well, you got to remember, there are now 5 black Republicans in the House, and so trust me, I think by tomorrow we're going to see all of them speak. Just expect it. Hold tight 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I got to go to a break. We come back. Black and Missing. We'll give you an update on the status of the Buffalo Bills player who had cardiac arrest on Monday. Also, J.J. Smith, the best-selling author, Green Smoothie Queen, will join us talking about her flat belly challenge. And so I know, Reese, I saw your Instagram pictures and Twitter pictures over the holidays. So you were having like way too much fun. Every time I saw your ass, you had a champagne glass in your hand. And so JJ got some good stuff for you and Erica in their belly challenge. And so we'll be talking with her as well on the show. So lots to talk about in the next hour, y'all. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube. You're on the Black Star Network app. We'll do all of that and support us in what we do, folks. And we'll be right back on the flip side. Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. And I see y'all comments. Yes, I wore a suit just to show y'all I can still rock one. Back in a moment.
I love directing. It's a different kind of piece. I do believe that the 30 years I was acting was to prepare me for what I'm supposed to be doing and that what I'm really am good at.
But when you were acting, were you even thinking about directing?
Nope.
Were you, so what the hell happened?
If you had asked me 15 years ago, I probably would have said, no, I don't know. I was doing Ava DuVernay's first film, I Will Follow. Mm-hmm. And during that process, I think because it was her first film, maybe
She's self-taught?
Absolutely. I probably gave too many suggestions. And at some point, Ava said to me, I think you're a director and you don't know it.
Talk about blackness and what happens in black culture. We're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Angie Stone.
Hi, I'm Teresa Griffin.
Oh, Roland. Hey, Roland, I am so disappointed that you are not here, first of all. Where's our dance? It's like we get a dance in every time I see you. And so now you're not here for me to dance with, sir. You and your ascot. I need it. I need that in my life right now. Okay, I love you, Roland.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, last year in the United States, police killed more people than they have at any other time in American history. Mapping Police Violence, a 501c3 organization, this is the work that they actually do, showing what has taken place. Now, we're 2 years, go ahead and show the map, please. We're 2 years after the death of George Floyd. And you thought all the conversation about police violence and all the discussion about what accountability would change things. But the reality is police killed American citizens at an unprecedented rate of 3.2 deaths daily. There were just 12 days in 2022 when police did not kill someone. Now, 1,176 people in every state, including local and state police, county sheriff's deputies, and federal agents, actually killed folks. Black men accounted for the highest number of deaths in police encounters. To give us an understanding of what's going on here is Samuel Sinyangwe, the founder of Mapping Police Violence. Samuel, glad to have you back on the show. All of these people, all of these folks went after Democrats talking about defund the police and how they were wrong, and then Democrats responded, oh my God, the whole scary thing about violence, the attacks against cash bail in Harris County and New York and Chicago and other places, and people were demanding accountability. And what are we now seeing? We're seeing the massive number of people killed by cops. So what the hell happened to the accountability?
So what we're seeing is a backlash to what had been a historic conversation and effort to rein in the power of the police to commit violence on our streets and against, in particular, our people. Nationwide, as you said, we've tracked 1,176 deaths caused by the police, a record. And moreover, what we've seen is an increase in the areas that are more likely to see a political backlash. So among county sheriffs in particular, county sheriffs accounted for 35% of those deaths last year. They were involved in 35%. That's more than 400 killings by county sheriffs, a record over the past decade at least. In more conservative areas, more rural areas, we're seeing an increase in killings by the police. So this looks like a backlash. It looks like a political backlash in more conservative parts of the country that instead of responding to calls for accountability with action in that direction, what they're doing instead is reacting by doubling down on the types of carceral politics and policies that got us into this mess to begin with. So that's what we see going on in some of the more rural areas. But what we also see is some of that energy is making it to the cities as well. We see with Eric Adams in New York. We see with the backlash and the recall of DA Chesa Boudin in San Francisco. We see in many of the big cities that had been making progress over the past couple of years in actually reducing arrests, reducing police shootings. Now we're seeing some of that progress getting reversed as more conservative politics are entering sort of the dominant conversation, this fear-mongering around crime, these calls for more police. It's resulting in higher rates of police violence in cities and especially in more rural and conservative areas.
So here's one particular graph that you put up. Pull it up, please, where you say some cities report the names of officers who kill, other cities hide this. That's the other thing. Here you out here trying to have accountability, and a lot of times you don't even know who the heck did it.
Exactly, and this is systemic, right? Part of this is a choice on the part of each law enforcement agency disclosing certain information. Some agencies have policies that require them to release the names of the officers, usually within 48 or 72 hours of a police shooting. But in other places, you have entire state laws that prohibit any information about the officers from being made public. So we don't see the names of the officers. We can't track patterns of which officers have more use of force incidents, even deadly force incidents on their record. So this is deeply systemic in policy at the state level.
We even had the former cop who was convicted of raping the black women in Oklahoma, where they would not reveal what prison he went to. Here was somebody who was convicted of a crime, and they were still protecting him.
Exactly. And that's what we see with the criminal justice system in general. So throughout this period, we've been tracking a decade of killings by the police. More than 11,000 people have been killed by police in that time period. And in only 2% of cases, an officer was charged with a crime. And in fewer than 1% of cases, an officer was convicted of a crime. And then when they get convicted, they get a lesser sentence than a civilian convicted of the exact same crime. So the system is deeply, deeply rooted in a desire to protect law enforcement at the expense of the public, and especially Black and brown communities that bear the brunt of police violence every single year, as we've tracked.
Now, when you say that Black men account for the highest number, so you had 1,176, correct?
Yes.
So of that number, how many were African American?
So about 24% of those killed by police in 2022 were Black, despite Black people being 13% of the U.S. population. So when you break the numbers down by the rate per person, so your risk as an individual of being killed by the police, for a Black person in 2022, you were more than 3 times as likely to be killed by police as a white person was last year.
So when people say, oh, it's wrong that more Black people are killed by cops than whites,
I mean, the fact is that this is happening in almost every city of the country. These disparities are consistent year over year. They're systemic. In 48 of the 50 largest cities, there are higher rates of police violence against Black people than white people. So, I mean, we're seeing this in every state, in almost every state, almost every city. So this is a nationwide issue. It's not going to be solved by, investigating 1 or 2 or 3 departments or passing a local ordinance in 1 or 2 city councils. This has to be a nationwide effort to address this at every level, local, state, and federal.
Questions for our panel. Erica, you first.
Yeah, thank you, Roland. And thank you, Mr. Sinyangwe. I've been following you on Twitter for years and really appreciate your work and all of your efforts. One of the things that I do want to ask you is around remedies. So because you are an activist, because this is the lane that you absolutely dominate, have you seen any efforts that have worked on the ground in terms of helping people feeling like there is some remedy they can do around this police violence that's pervasive across the country?
So yes, there are programs that are being piloted and slowly scaled up in some of the nation's largest cities that are promising. And they're promising in part because they are creating real effective alternative responses to some of the types of situations that we see year after year, continuously resulting in 100 or more killings by the police. So those are situations like traffic stops, routine traffic violations, situations like mental health calls or welfare check calls, situations like low-level nonviolent offenses in which the police are oftentimes enforcing what they believe what they deem to be crimes, but what really are crimes of poverty. What are people who need help, people who don't have the resources and oftentimes don't have access to treatment for mental health or substance use or other issues. And so ultimately, in some cities, we have seen over the past many years reductions in arrests for some of those low-level issues, reductions in arrests for things like disorderly conduct, liquor violations, drug possession, particularly marijuana possession, crimes related to sex work. So California recently just passed a set of laws that move in the direction of decriminalization for sex work, as well as things like jaywalking, other low-level issues that the police routinely arrest people for. So those efforts are really important and are promising because when we break down the numbers, the majority of cases in which people are killed by the police each year involve one of those types of situations. So a traffic violation stop, a low-level offense, a routine disturbance, other situations like that, a mental health welfare check. So those are promising efforts. Denver, the STAR program is one example where they've responded now to over 3,000 mental health calls with mental health clinicians instead of the police responding. They've been remarkably effective. They haven't had to call in the police for backup. They haven't used force against anybody, let alone, deadly force. So that's one example. There are other examples of reducing enforcement for low-level traffic violations. Virginia passed a law to do that a few years ago. Now that Republicans have retaken control of the governorship and retaken control of the state, they're actually trying to repeal some of those laws that banned the police from stopping people for having an air freshener hanging from your rearview mirror, other low-level issues, expired tags, etc. So those are the types of policies and laws that can make a real difference in preventing the types of situations that result in these tragedies year after year after year at remarkable frequency.
Sammy, hold tight 1 second. I got to go to a break. We'll have Reese and Greg's questions when we come back. Folks, You're watching the Black Star Network. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing at least $50 each over the course of the year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. Send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, it's time to tie up those loose ends. Setting yourself up for balance, success, and even prosperity in the new year. Financial expert Pamela Sams joins our panel. She will give us a checklist of things that we need to do before the calendar turns.
We develop our money mindset by the age of 6. And so we have our sometimes 6-year-old self still operating in the background of our money scripts.
That's next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
You want me to do something crazy, but I don't know what to do. I'd rather just sit here.
I'm Chrisette Michelle, and you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
Folks, welcome back. We're talking with Samuel Sinyangwe, the founder of Mapping Police Violence. Last year was the deadliest year where police killed more Americans than any other year. Greg Carr, your question for Samuel.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you, Brother Sinyangwe, for this work. Even as you say, we can't wait to continue to compile these statistics. And just looking at the website and looking at Mapping Police Violence, one of the things that your team notes is that you update this weekly. I guess my question is, what kind of, well, I have two questions. One is, what kind of resources does it take to maintain this, and how can we assist you and help and strengthen that ability, since you all are doing this weekly, updating this data? And the other question has to do with the nature of these encounter types. It's fascinating to see how traffic stops can turn deadly so quickly. It's almost as if, and we talk about this a lot on this show, these police are out here hunting people. You disaggregate this data by encounter type. Could you talk a little bit about the types of encounters we have day to day with law enforcement? Thank you.
Absolutely. So to your last question around encounter types, so since it's very important to understand the types of circumstances that lead to ultimately escalate to deadly force. Right now, we have data going back to 2017 through now 2022 coded by encounter type, and then we have further data going back to 2013 that we're working on coding as well. But so far, it's been remarkably consistent year over year that the data doesn't comport with the narrative that you hear from the police, from conservative circles, And that narrative is one that largely centers violent crime as the root of police violence, right? So you hear the police say, well, police are responding to violence or an increase in crime, and so they're in dangerous situations, and that's why they're using deadly force. That narrative doesn't comport with what we actually see in the data. In the data, we see that violent crime accounts for every single year since 2017. We've seen that violent crime accounts for less than 1 in 3 of these police killings, and that's alleged violent crime. It's not. There's no conviction. The police, were judge, jury, and executioner in those cases as well. But ultimately, it's only 1 in 3 cases. For the majority of cases in which people are ending up losing their
looks like Samuel's signal has frozen. Do this here, folks, while we wait to get him back. Go to the chamber of the U.S. House. The 11th vote is being taken, folks, as we speak right now. And guess what? That boy still ain't got the votes. They embarrassing him again. We just missed a shot where Marjorie Taylor Greene just grabbed her coat and walked the hell out the chamber. Another member waved their hand by as well. You see right there, Hearn has now had 7 votes. Trump has 1. Others have gotten 11. The president is 0. And so, again, Kevin McCarthy does not have the votes for the 12th time. And so now the question is, are they going to adjourn or are they going to embarrass him for a 13th time? Samuel, go ahead. We got you back. Go ahead and finish your comment.
So I was saying year after year, the majority of cases in which
there you go.
A routine stop for a traffic violation, a domestic disturbance, a situation in which no crime was alleged, or a mental health welfare check call or other low-level offense. So those are the encounter types and types of situations that if we could focus on creating alternatives to those nonviolent situations, we could save the majority of these lives year after year. And so that's got to be key to the solutions. It's got to be key to when we're talking about resource allocation between police and community-based alternatives. We have to center the data in understanding the impact that can really have.
Reese, your question.
Samuel, I'm such a huge fan of your work. Thank you for all that you do. My question is around, I'm sure you've heard about San Francisco and the debate they've been having over police robots being able to use deadly force. Is that something that you have looked at all? I know in 2016, the Dallas police used a bomb robot to blow up a shooter. Is that something that you see perhaps being as a solution, I guess, the robots, having more of a police presence, or do you think that we should obviously be avoiding any kind of police presence, including robots?
Yes. So, as you mentioned, it has happened before that the police have used robots to kill people. And in 2016, it doesn't show up very often in our database. It's not happening very often across the country yet. It is a danger. I think that what we should be doing is restraining the power of the police to use force in more and different ways with even more powerful equipment, military equipment, now, autonomous AI that they're integrating into their predictive policing systems. Now they're starting to talk about using robots. So no, we shouldn't be moving in that direction. There's not a whole lot of research on robots using deadly force in a domestic policing context, although we should be mindful of the way in which when we're thinking about drones in how they're being used in warfare right now and how they have been used. They have been incredibly lethal. They have caused a lot of harm across the world. So I don't think we should bring that home domestically, and we should probably be not doing that abroad either.
So the real question here is, Samuel, is that with these numbers, are we going to see policy changes? What we've seen is an incredible beat back against activists, against reform-minded individuals. You have these folks who are scaring voters by saying crime is on the increase, even though when you look at a lot of the places, crime is actually falling. This is the scare tactics used because People do not want to see police held accountable in this country. They are a protected class more than any other.
So the good news is that now that we're in January, many states are starting their legislative sessions. The opportunity is now to get in touch with your state legislators and push them to adopt the kind of policies that can make a difference here, that can prevent the police from stopping people for these low-level traffic violations like they've done already in passing a law in Virginia, that can create and fund alternative responses to mental health issues like they've done through the Crises Act in California. So there are some examples, some promising practices and even laws now that we can point to. We also need better data collection. And this is something that might be able to get more bipartisan support in many states. But there are examples, for example, in New Jersey, where they publish use of force data. They collect data from 98% of the law enforcement agencies within the state. They publish individualized use of force data for every use of force incident, fatal or non-fatal, within the state. They have information on the officers involved, et cetera. They do that at a state level, and there's no reason that can't be the rule everywhere else.
Again, what I'm hopeful is that we do see some action. And again, it just comes down to accountability. And unfortunately, we have a society where politicians, they are so scared to death. These police unions, they use their money. They weaponize their unions to go against folks. Look what happened in Harris County, where they went after all of those judges who supported bail reform. For those, they literally supported DAs, who were prosecutors who ran against those judges, and they barely beat them back. 4 of those judges lost their positions because they did not want to see criminal justice reform. That's what we see in this country, and they definitely don't want to see cops held accountable.
No, absolutely. At the same time, there is a real opportunity here to change who is representing us in some of these offices. I talked about sheriff's departments accounting for more and more of these killings each year. Those are elected positions. You can change who's the sheriff. We can figure out what a slate of candidates should look like that should replace the folks who are in these roles that are doubling down on the carceral policies that are continuing to ratchet these numbers up year after year after year.
All right, Samuel, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much for your great work.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we come back. Update on the Buffalo Bills player who suffered cardiac arrest in Monday Night Football game. We'll also, the sad story of a recently elected state representative in Connecticut, sworn in yesterday, killed in a car crash today. We'll give you those details and other headlines. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be right back. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I love directing. It's a different kind of piece. I do believe that the 30 years I was acting was to prepare me for what I'm supposed to be doing and that what I'm really am good at.
But when you were acting, were you even thinking about directing?
Nope.
Were you? So what the hell happened?
If you had asked me 15 years ago, I probably would have said, no, I don't know. I was doing Ava DuVernay's first film, I Will Follow. Mm-hmm. And during that process, I think because it was her first film, maybe
she's self-taught.
Absolutely. I probably gave too many suggestions. And at some point, Ava said to me, I think you're a director and you don't know it.
Bishop TDJ.
How y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
In today's Black and Missing, of course, our goal is to help these folks who otherwise stories are ignored. Too often, African Americans, you don't see these stories on mainstream media, but when you got a missing white woman, it's all over the news. Today's one is Nia Sandra Rash, last seen in Pittsburgh at a Pittsburgh bus stop on December 28th. 25-year-old is 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighs 120 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. She was wearing a black coat with fur on the hood, gray sweatpants, and light brown Uggs. Nia has epilepsy and she needs medication. Anyone with information about Nia Sandra Rash is urged to call the Penn Hills, Pennsylvania Police Department at 412-342-1167, 412-342-1167. Folks, some absolutely tragic news out of Connecticut. Yesterday, Quentin Q Williams was sworn in as a state representative in Connecticut. Today, he was killed in a wrong-way crash. Connecticut State Representative Quentin Williams, again, happened less than 24 hours after he was sworn in for his third term in office. Officials report that the accident happened when a car traveling in the wrong direction crashed into Williams head-on. The other vehicle's driver also died and was identified as 27-year-old Kamid Mustafa. Williams was the African-American representing the city of Middleton in Connecticut and served as city treasurer in 2011 and 2015. He was also on the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2007, and in 2009, he was the commission's chair. Williams, just 39 years old. Folks, some good news out of Cincinnati, where the Buffalo Bills player who suffered cardiac arrest on Monday, he is awake. Damar Hamlin, his brain function appears to be in good condition. Doctors also say he can write messages to communicate. The first thing he wrote was, did the Bills win the game? And they replied, the physicians caring for him, first of all, they replied, you won the game of life. That's what they said. This is the Buffalo Bills statement. Per the physicians caring for Damar Hamlin at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, Damar has shown remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours. While still critically ill, he has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact. His lungs continue to heal, and he is making steady progress. We are grateful for the love and support that we have received. Now, folks, the NFL also announced that Damar is going to receive, no matter what happens to him, he is going to receive lifetime help. This, I'm going to read for you what was posted on social media. Give me a second. Let me pull this tweet up right now, folks, so you can see. NFL EVP Troy Vincent says that this is the tweet right here. They hope that Damar Hamlin will make a full recovery, but made clear he will be provided resources, benefits necessary to make sure he had what is needed for complete life, despite Hamlin not being a vested NFL veteran. Annie Apple, who is the mother of Eli Apple, a cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, who was actually at the game on Monday. This is what she tweeted. "This is awesome news. Can this be made available for all NFL players and former players? God has done her part. The NFL now needs to do its part in caring for the health and safety of all its players." You know, that's one of the things right there, Erica, when we talk about this $15 billion a year industry, the catastrophic injuries the players often receive on the football field. And the bottom line here, the NFL, okay, so obviously a lot of attention here, very rare, a player suffering cardiac arrest on the field. But if you're saying, let's support him, as Andy's saying, what about the other players?
Yeah, Roland. The book, William Rose, $40 million slave. I remember reading that.
William Roden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember this right here back behind me, but I remember reading that in the early 2000s and really properly for about 10 years.
Are you trying to have your Greg Carr bookshelf reference?
Erica got her own. She got her own book game, and it's strong.
Go ahead, Erica.
But in reading that book and just really walking what athleticism and really taking the Black body and to making it into something to like a beast, or now as we come in here more commonly, gladiator, really for profit. But I've been sent a lot of things around this because one of the first things that some people thought was, okay, it was a concussion, but to understand it was cardiac arrest and understanding that brain functionality really does, it is the central processing system for everything. I'm bringing all that forward to talk about, when we talk about being vested in the NFL, being vested in the NFL takes at least over 3 years for them to be vested. But understanding that these folks that play this game have really been playing this game. I know my son started when he was 4. They've been playing for an exceptionally long time. So a lot of what we hear about, but now commonly what we're now reading about because of the CTE piece, what their bodies and their brains endure over time after receiving multiple hits and injuries. All of this to say, when you're looking at the disability policy, not only in the NFL, but in this country, and I've written and talked about this, having some type of disability, not being able to fully function in this world is laborious as hell. And so when you're hearing about players that, there was a CTE settlement, but 60% of the players have not began to receive their payments, that's a problem. So what happened with DeMar, for those of us that were watching the game live when that did happen, it really was traumatizing. It's a lot of shock that went into that. But that is a moment that we honestly all know that can happen because of the level of sport that that football is. All of that to say, this was an excellent opportunity, and we're thanking God that DeMar has the progress and improvement that he's made, and that people will continue to root and care for him in a way that he can have as much success in his progress as possible, but also leaning back and thinking about what it means to actually be in this space where a person is disabled and not 100%, and the labor that's involved to not only get care, to have the advocacy, but then to also help them to have whatever 100% wellness looks like for them. So definitely all of the kind of like diamond perspectives that are being brought up, but especially taken to task the billions of dollars that the NFL and those 30 plus owners made. That is also time to be very much so concerned about the people that bring that those profits through their labor and their body.
I always get a kick out of certain folks when they discuss these stories, especially on Fox News. And last night, Laura Ingraham, let's just say she got her ass handed to her by Steve Allman, the author of Against Football, who just threw in some nice shade while talking with her. Roll the tape.
Well, I know you're focused on the players. I'm focused on the fans. And what I essentially believe is not that any government ban is going to make football safer, and certainly not some mythic woke mob that you mentioned to try to scare your viewers. I think it's going to happen.
I'm not trying to scare the viewers. Football's not about politics. It's not about politics. You're making it about politics.
Your entire economic model.
What?
Your entire economic model is to scare your viewers. That's your whole gig.
I mean, Steve, you really want football to be banned. Yeah, you want football to be banned.
I don't. This is what you do.
Game. Oh, come on. You want football essentially changed into, I don't know what. Like, I don't know, you have a sensor in the helmet, I guess, okay. Propose one,
Well, is that technology troubling to you?
No, not in the
slightest. If you're concerned about the players,
not in the slightest.
Why wouldn't you want them to play in a way that was safer? You're not concerned about the players. Things the NFL could do tomorrow, but they're not going to do it until there's an economic incentive. The reason they settled that lawsuit is because they had a PR problem. It's like at Fox News when you have hosts who are allegedly sexually harassing people. Fox News throws money at that to make that PR problem go away. That's what happens with big corporations or powerful people.
Well, nobody's done more.
I mean, you know that, Laura, right?
Expose.
You know that.
Well, yeah, that's a cute little move. But I'm trying to get you to answer a question.
The reason that people change their behavior is because there's an economic incentive. A couple of years ago, when you taunted the survivor of Parkland mass shooting, you apologized only because advertisers withdrew from your show and your
Nice try, buddy. I appreciate it. Hey, this is what they always do.
They hate getting owned, Reese.
Ooh, yeah. How did he sneak by the producers? I want to know that. Yes, Laura, I like that he called her out, but the bottom line is I think he's right in terms of it's all about economics, whether it's Fox News, OAN, the Republican miscreants currently causing chaos on the House floor. It's all in the NFL, it's all about the money. And what's really troubling though is the level of horror and the level of violence that we have to see in order for us to collectively say enough is enough. And I think with Damar, it was so horrific that you can't help but galvanize behind them. But the reality is that it shouldn't take that level of violence. And I'm not saying violence in terms of the hit. I'm saying in terms of what's happening to his body is violent. Yep. It should not take that level for people to say the NFL needs to do right by all of its players. Vesting should not even be a thing when it comes to the health and safety of their players.
Yeah, but they love that money. That's what it boils down to. Hold on one second. I got to go to a break. We come back. More on Rolling Martin Unfiltered. We'll chat with J.J. Smith, the Green Smoothie Queen. We're focusing on a new you in 2023, and so we'll talk to her about her belly challenge. Really? Really? The belly challenge? Really, JJ? Really? All right, y'all. We'll talk about that next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable results.
Whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at
America, there's going to be more.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Help us all. It is no exaggeration to say that this current session could completely reshape this country and redirect our future for generations to come. And not in a good way. We invite Dr. Valethia Watkins and Professor Angela Porter, our legal roundtable, back to the show to put it all in perspective. Please don't miss it. Right here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Just what's happening on Capitol 212. Hearn 7, Donald Trump got 1, others got 12. and then president is 1. So at the end of the day, what you see, there are 21 Republicans who are opposed to Kevin Lake saying, damn, he need to just quit. You see Democrats just smiling and laughing because the American public, you see right there, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, that's Congresswoman Joy. These folk ain't got no sense at all. That's Congresswoman right there as well. So it is, I mean, you're seeing what's next. Is Kevin going to drop out? Is he going to get the message? And so what are they doing, folks? Are they adjourning? They are adjourning for the night. And so he's going to become Speaker of the House, and he's going to kiss more chapped ass. And what's going to happen is he's going to lose again. So at the point where you negotiate with terrorists as long as they can, going through, I call it shredding, shedding, and cleansing process. And typically they'll have like all the fitness people. So I say, I want to have fitness folks, I want to have dietitians, I want to have different individuals. And so this week we had, of course, Jim Jones on the show. We had, of course, we had him talking about kicking this thing off on Tuesday. Terry Starks was here, doctor was here last night. Talking about in terms of how we do our diet. And so tonight, had to hit my homegirl, JJ Smith. I have not, so I think the last time I talked to JJ when I was at my TV One show, and of course she used to be here in DC, then she moved out to LA, and so she's been hanging out in the City of Angels. She, of course, is the author of the 10-Day Green Smoothie Cleanse, was a major bestseller. Come on, no, she holding a different book, y'all. Come to me. Come to me. That's a different book. She's holding the kettle. Now, give me camera 7. Give me camera 7. So this is the 10-Day Green Smoothie Cleanse book. And then, of course, she had Green Smoothies for Life, this book right here. And then she had the Keto Cleanse. And so I want to go here because, JJ, when we first had you on, again, I ain't no vegetable person. So let's just be real clear. I cannot stand. Look, my daddy's watching. I could not stand damn vegetables growing up. I can't.
What about
which one am I on, y'all? I'm on 1 to 7. Come on, which one?
Collard greens.
Thank you very much. Okay, no, it's okay. So I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand it. I mean, we would have vegetable week, and I said, if this man give another damn vegetable, it's gonna drive me crazy. And it really was. And when you first came on, I was like, Lord, if she come with this green juice, I'm gonna cut somebody out. But it really was a way for me to still do vegetables, but in a different way.
Right. So, Roland, I have a question for you.
Yep.
You mean to tell me you didn't grow up with collard greens, fatback?
Don't like them.
That is.
No, okay, JJ.
You don't eat collard greens.
JJ, let me explain something to you. I can't stand, okay, I'm gonna explain to you why I can't stand no damn collard greens. I can't stand no damn mustard greens. I can't stand no damn beets. I can't stand none of that. Because Miss Elkins, who was our babysitter, they always had that, and they were in the kitchen. And I could not stand the damn smell of that. If I don't like the smell, I ain't eating it. I couldn't stand the smell of that. So I was 4 or 5. I'm like, hell no, I ain't eating that. I can't stand none of that. Look, I remember we had a standoff. Me and my dad had a standoff at OK Corral. I want another piece of chicken. He said, you better finish them peas. I'm like, I ain't eating these peas. And so
never mind.
And he was like, well, we ain't leaving this table. You ain't getting no chicken till you finish these peas. I was like, well, hell, I guess we're gonna be here all damn night. And so we sat there, and I'm talking about it went almost 2-3 hours. Now my daddy, look, he worked the late shift. I used to stay up late watching TV. I knew I was gonna outlast him. And so and he was like, put this damn food up and go to bed. I ain't eat them peas. I can't stand no peas. I can't stand no broccoli. Don't give me no damn asparagus. My wife fixed some Brussels sprouts. They stink damn near like chitlins.
Oh, Lord.
So I have limited vegetables that I like. So doing the green smoothie cleanse really made it possible for me to actually to tolerate some vegetables. But I can't stand most of them. And don't come to me with no squash and none of that crap. I can't deal with it. And I know he's gonna send me a text in a minute, but he know I don't eat none of them damn vegetables. I eat 3 vegetables. Green beans, but they gotta be the crunchy ones with olive oil and garlic, cabbage, okra. That's it, we moving on.
You know what? You know what? I'm surprised that you, Roland. Okay, first of all, at least you will acknowledge that green smoothies, I always felt this way, was a great way to get a lot of greens in your diet without having to eat greens. And I'm just surprised that you didn't grow up. I grew up on collard greens. And
No,
like
baby. They ate them.
Even my string beans, like even if I make string beans now.
JJ, let me help you. They ate them. I was a holdout.
But listen. If you never had green beans with a little garlic, with a little onion, with a little butter, with a little broth, and some turkey sausage,
I did
then
that.
You're missing out. It is no smell involved.
I did all that. Beans made one damn way. That's it. If they ain't made that way, I ain't eating them. I'm real clear on what I like and what I don't like. I ain't confused. I ain't confused.
I see.
And so
we got something for you then. This is not dependent on you eating a lot of greens. We trying to get a slimmer waistline. We're gonna make sure that everybody has the best opportunity to get a slimmer waistline, because what people have to understand is how much belly fat you have is an indicator of early death. And in our community, Roland, we lead in high cholesterol and diabetes and high blood pressure. And if we just change the way we eat, we can change those numbers. So we're going to be eating good, and we're going to really decrease the risk of heart disease and other diseases that are associated with us not being in good health.
So how are you doing that with this? Because what you're about to start, what is it, on Monday, this 30-day belly challenge?
Yes, Monday. So on Monday, January 16th, we're doing JJ's 30-day flat belly challenge. And one of the things is, if I said, okay, I'm most committed to helping people that look like me take back control of their health and their weight. And I think because belly fat is an indicator of early death, if we really have a weight loss program that targets belly fat, then you're in a position to not only get healthy, to not only slim your waistline, but also increase your lifespan and really have longevity. And that was my goal. And the beautiful thing about this, it's not a smoothie program. We eat good, right?
Okay, hold on. Now, when you say we eat good, I need you to define good, because your good and Reese's good and Erica and Greg's good could be a whole lot different.
Everybody's a little different.
Everybody's good ain't good.
First of all, let me say this. My family's from Macon, Georgia. So when I say we eat good, I just get some props alone from my family being from Macon, because you know if they're from Macon, they know what eating good is. But what I'm saying is you don't have to detox and only drink smoothies for 30 days. We're eating some very unique foods. We have like this Asian...
First of all, Henry missed it. Eric was over there snapping her fingers like she was over there having Mardi Gras when you were hollering about Macon, Georgia.
Oh, hey, Macon, Georgia.
I know Henry was a little slow over there with the switch, but go on right ahead.
Yeah.
Finish your point, JJ.
Okay, so what I'm saying is we're going to be eating like chicken, and we have like this barbecue chicken foil pack, which is a healthier way to eat barbecue chicken. We got chicken meatballs. We got Asian stuffed peppers. We got salmon. Like, we have regular foods made very soulful. See, the important thing is I designed the recipes with 2 chefs, and it's great that it's healthy, but if it don't taste like, make me step back and be like, bam, it's not going to work. I really need food to move me in a way.
You're right.
I love to eat. I love for food to feel good.
You're right.
So we needed a healthy weight loss plan where the recipes were soulful and they tasted good.
All right.
And that's what we've designed.
Oh, JJ, hold on one second. I got to go to a break. We come back.
Okay.
We're going to talk more about this 30-day plan in this so-called good food. Then I got questions from Erica, Greg, and Reese about that. My daddy going to text me talking about, boy, you still know what you're missing. Yes, I do.
Yeah, he might be right, Roland.
I know, I'm good.
He might be right.
I'm good. You can keep them damn greens and them asparagus and squash and all of.
Let me tell you, some people put their foot in them greens.
And then all of.
Some people put their foot in them greens.
Well, they take their damn foot out. And all them damn beans we had to eat growing up. It was every damn bean known to man in our house. I'm like, I'm sick of looking at bags of beans. All right, let me go to a break. We'll be right back on Rolling Martin. I'm having damn PTSD, traumatic flashback. You're watching Rolling Martin on Black Star Network.
Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, it's time to tie up those loose ends. Setting yourself up for balance, success, and even prosperity in the new year. Financial expert Pamela Sams joins our panel. She will give us a checklist of things that we need to do before the calendar turns.
We develop our money mindset by the age of 6. And so we have our sometimes 6-year-old self still operating in the background of our money scripts.
That's next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The Supreme Court is back in session. God help us all. It is no exaggeration to say that this current session could completely reshape this country and redirect our future for generations to come. And not in a good way. We invite Dr. Valencia Watkins and Professor Angela Porter, our legal roundtable, back to the show to put it all in perspective. That's on the next Black Table. Please don't miss it. Right here on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Antonique Smith.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Welcome back. JJ Smith, author of the 10-Day Green Smoothie Cleanse, Green Smoothies for Life. She's talking about her 30-day belly challenge. So before we went to the break, you were saying that this is not all about, it's not all smoothies. And so what are we talking about here? How many meals, for your plan, how many meals is important to get in? We had Terry Starks on last night. He says 5 meals, watching your portions is critical, eating every 3 hours, he said, as opposed to how some people try to starve themselves to death. What about you?
Right. Well, I would agree that starving yourself is not the way to lose weight and get healthy. But one of the things that's going to be most important is not what you eat, it's when you eat.
Okay.
Intermittent fasting is a method of when you eat that has a lot of benefits on our blood sugar. It helps with high blood pressure. And it's really about discipline. You can eat like all of your food within an 8-hour period, and then the 16 hours you fast. I think it's more important to focus on when you eat, not what you eat. I think for most people, they don't really need to eat 5 times a day. What are we eating 5 times a day for? I think what you want to do is eat to be satisfied. And a lot of people find that they can eat 2 or 3 times a day and be completely satisfied. We want to get in a place we have a healthy relationship with food, and we don't have to be watching the clock. We don't have to be overstuffing. I couldn't imagine eating 5 times a day. If I get 3 meals in a day, that's like a lot.
See, I can't. See, part of the issue for me is like when you talk about that, because the day gets away from you. It was like yesterday we were talking,
busy.
And Carol was like, "Oh, I hadn't eaten all day." I'm like, "Girl, what the hell wrong with you?" I mean, the reality is you do have to eat, and you got to provide fuel.
You got to eat
to your body. Let's go with our questions. We're gonna go to your Georgia homegirl first. Erica, go ahead.
Hey,
girl.
You know, they say about making. Hey, girl, how you doing? Hey, cool. With the best. You know, you say making is right above the net line, so we're below the net line here in Albany.
I know my people.
It's all good. My question for you, JJ, is because I've had the
with that big ass green plant in your shot.
He didn't say nothing about you, baby.
I just saw big green. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. You mean it, baby. But so was really curious around when you talk about the belly fat, and I'm glad that you're drawing attention to it, not just to have a flat belly, but like the health implications of carrying around that additional fat, or what they may call trunk, if you go and get measured to work with a personal trainer. So could you talk a little bit more around, because you know, we hear the fun things about dad bods and just being yourself.
Oh, my God.
Love and embrace all of that. But can you really talk about the serious health implications that visceral fat, what it's indicating.
Yes. Okay.
And some things that people can be walking into to help live your life.
I don't know. You probably can't see this, right?
We see it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm showing you is a picture of, depending on how your belly fat sits, high, low, hanging, there's mommy belly, there's sugar belly, there's stress belly, there's alcohol bellies. There's actually 6 types of belly fat. And depending on which type you have, there are different solutions to get rid of it. And so I'm glad you talked about it, because people don't even realize, depending on how your belly fat sits on your body, is also an indication of what strategies you need to get rid of it. Like, I'm in my 50s. So for me, menopause belly is very real for me. Whereas a lot of people deal with mommy belly. If you had like people tell me all the time, I got a mommy belly and my baby is 12 years old. They never really got rid of that stubborn belly fat that happened after childbirth. But the beautiful thing about our program is we take each of the different types of belly fat, and every one of them has a different solution. That's why diet and exercise alone is not how you get rid of stubborn belly fat. You got to figure out the root cause. We start this program by giving you a quiz. So you first say, what type of belly fat? I've dealt with alcohol belly because I have too many cocktails, menopause belly, bloated belly, sugar belly, eating too many pasta and carbs. But really, they're all different. And how you solve them is all different. If you think you could just eat less and exercise more, it's not going to touch that stubborn belly fat. And that's why this program is really unique. It's one of the few weight loss programs that's really designed to target belly fat. And by doing that, you get a real good jump on improving your health and really having longevity in terms of your health and not having any major diseases as you get older.
Reese.
Yeah, JJ, I have a mommy belly. Okay, I can tell you that right now. I don't need a quiz to tell me that. But can I ask you, for people that maybe don't have the discipline for an entire program, is there one particular bad habit that anybody who currently does it right now should just cut it out? Like, if you had to choose just one thing to say, I'm no longer going to do this for a healthier lifestyle, what would you pick that one thing to be?
I love this question so much because I always tell people baby steps, right? Sometimes a comprehensive program may be too much. There's one thing that moves the needle on weight loss that people don't understand. If you sleep less than 7 hours per night, then you have decreased your ability to burn belly fat. When you don't get a lot of sleep, if you have stress, mess, drama in your life, you raise your cortisol levels, and the hormone cortisol stores fat in the belly. It is scientifically proven. Lack of sleep, a whole lot of stress will cause you to store more belly fat. The one thing I tell people who say, oh, I can't eat right, but can you get more sleep? If I could just get you to get more sleep, if you need melatonin, if you need a sleep supplement, whatever you have to do to get more sleep, you've literally changed your body's ability to burn more belly fat. And that in and of itself moves the needle. If you can't stick to a healthy weight loss plan, girl, just sleep more, because that's got to be the easiest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And actually, one of the things I did the end of last year, because I had uneven sleep, Soledad O'Brien had this, it's the Aura sleep ring, because I wanted to be able to track the stats to understand in terms of sleep as well. And so that also helps because it gives you, I posted the last couple of days on my Instagram page what those sleep stats are, and it gives you that sort of indication. So there are ways for you, and also the Apple Watch also has different apps that also allow you to track those things as well. Greg Carr, your question.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Greg?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Roland. And you actually, Reese, asked the question that I would have asked, and you gave the answer, JJ, because I want you to help save my life as well. 30 days. 30 days, no question.
We got to talk.
No question. But I mean, when you raise stress and sleep, I think that combination has been difficult, certainly for me. Any thoughts on the effect of COVID? I know staying here, being sedentary, working all the time, but certainly being in one place. Any thoughts on what we can do to kind of reverse some of the impact of these last couple of years of isolation? And also white sugar. I'm a coffee addict. I'll say that. I take away. Is that one of the things we can take out of our lives?
Okay, so I'm going to give you some good news. Coffee isn't a problem for getting healthy or weight loss. The problem with coffee is when we drink 3-4 cups a day. 1 cup has been proven to boost our metabolism and be very healthy for us. It's when we do things in excess, right? So if you drink 1 cup in the morning, if you could discipline yourself to not drink it all day, it's when you drink it all day that you are putting stress on your adrenals and making it more difficult to lose weight. 1 cup a day, though, has been proven to benefit our metabolism. So that's a good thing. Let's talk about this COVID-15, though. The studies show that the average person has gained about 15 pounds because of COVID. I know I did, and I lost 17 pounds just in the last 2 months. But really, for me, it was more like, okay, we're about to come out of COVID. Let me get myself together, because I don't. Look, it was literally like, we're about to go outside, okay? They lifting all the COVID over. I'm about to be outside. I got to get myself right. I don't want to be in a position where I feel tired. Let me tell you, it's not even a vanity thing. My energy level, my mental, when I get brain fog and I don't feel sharp and I don't feel energetic and I have low motivation, that bothers me more than my weight. Got it. Because for me to be most productive, I got to be sharp. I'm an author. I've written 7 books. And if I struggle to write 1 paragraph, that's my first indication that my health is falling off. I can look in the mirror and be bigger, but what is my mentally? What am I feeling like? So a lot of people are dealing with the COVID-15, and we have to address that. But guess what? A lot of people dealing with the COVID-15, I know for myself, emotionally, we have struggled for the last few years with COVID. The isolation, the exclusion, the depression, the loneliness. I have never felt more lonely in my entire life. It don't matter how many followers you have.
I got about 30 seconds left to sign up for the Belly Challenge. Where do we go?
Oh, go to jjsmithonline.com. And you'll see a big banner that tells you can sign up here. Okay. Sign up. It's going to be fun. It's January 16th. You got a whole week to get this up.
MLK Day. So January 16th.
Absolutely.
That's when it begins, the 30-day challenge. And so JJ Smith, we certainly appreciate it. Folks, you can go to her website to get more information. Always a pleasure to have you on. I'll see you next month when I'm in LA for the Image Awards.
Yes, I'll see you then.
All right, thanks a bunch. Reese, Erica, Greg, thank you so very much for joining us as well. Folks, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we have a house speaker tomorrow. Psych. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!